Made up mainly of Chinese, Indians or indigenous peoples who are mostly Buddhists, Hindus, Christians or animists. This is a country where each race knows its social and political place, and while Malaysia's many cultures and faiths make for a colourful nation, problems arise when one group tests their boundaries.
Kami sayang, Kalimah Allah, Kalimah Allah.
Some Malay Muslim groups are protesting a court ruling that the word Allah is not exclusive to Islam. These groups fear such a legal judgment could lead to the abuse of the word by non-Muslims. They also claim it could confuse some Muslims and may even encourage apostasy, which in some Malaysian states is a criminal offence. The controversy stems from a 3-year government ban on a Catholic newspaper using the word Allah to denote the Christian God in its Malay language edition. The Catholic Church challenged the ban in court, arguing the Arabic word predates Islam and has been used for decades by Christians in Malaysia and Indonesia. In the wake of the High Court ruling, several churches were firebombed and attacked in what some say is a means to remind the Christian minority of their place in the Malaysian society.
They feel intimidated, and this is unfortunate because they went through a process in court and there's a decision that has been made to only uplift the fact that what we have been doing in our worship life and in our devotional life is acceptable as part and parcel of that free practice of our faith in this country.
The authorities have condemned the attacks and are calling for calm.
Kita juga mesti menunjukkan bahawa kita adalah warga negara Malaysia.
We must show that we are Malaysian citizens who are responsible and wish to live in peace and harmony among the various races.
But several Malay Muslim groups say the matter will only be resolved if the church drops their demand to use the word Allah.
In Malaysia context, when we refer to Muslim, it is only for Malay and Malay language, and the term of Allah is only exclusive to the Malay, so-called Malay nation. And when we talk about other religions, Buddhist and Hinduism, they commonly are using Mandarin and Tamil.
Some analysts blame Malaysia's ruling coalition for equating religion to race. Critics say it's a political tactic that's kept the dominant United Malays National Organization, or UMNO, in power for decades.
In this country, Muslims are synonymous with Malay. And so anything which is done against Islam is seen to be something which is done against the Malays. The UMNO in particular is utterly dependent on the Malay vote. So it's to pander to the fears of the Malays, to say that without them you are under threat, without them Islam is under threat. What they haven't done is taken responsibility for the fertile ground for this kind of racist behavior, which they have been laying down for the past few years.
Malaysia's government has appealed against the court verdict, citing it is a national security issue. The High Court has now suspended the ruling's implementation pending the hearing. Meanwhile, the current religious and racial tensions are threatening to derail Prime Minister Najib Razak's efforts to foster unity in his multicultural country. Under his One Malaysia concept, the Prime Minister is urging the nation to erase ethnic lines and build trust and respect. But critics say as long as the ruling coalition continues to play on racial and religious politics, the One Malaysia idea will remain an empty slogan. Joining me here in Kuala Lumpur to discuss Malaysia's rising religious tension is Malaysian opposition MP Khalid Samad, social activist Marina Mahathir, and Yusri Mohammed from the Malaysian Islamic Youth Movement. Thank you very much for joining us today. Yusri, if I could start with you. You are opposed to the High Court ruling for non-Muslims to be able to use the word Allah. Tell us why.
Yeah, it's not just my opinion. We already have an official fatwa, a religious ruling of the highest fatwa council in the country, since May 2008 that this term Allah is exclusive for Muslims. And coming from the Fatwa Council of Malaysia, it is a clear word, a clear position, at least in the context of Malaysia. And since it is clearly a clear position of the mainstream, I can say, as supported by this Fatwa Council, it becomes a sensitive issue when anyone insists on using something which is not allowed to be used according to the Muslim position, the Islamic position.
Well, Khalid Samad, you're from the opposition Islamic Party, and yet you're okay with non-Muslims using the word Allah.
Yes, because we find that there are very clear evidences in the Quran and also in the traditions of the Prophet.
So you're saying that you disagree with this fatwa from 2008?
Well, we were never consulted. I mean, the National Fatwa Council, all due respect, was a council that was appointed in a manner which did not refer to all the religious scholars in the country. And we understand that in Malaysia, nothing is free from politics, and the stand that Islam is Malay and Malay is Islam is rubbish. But at the same time, the National Fatwa Council says nothing about it.
We'll come back to the equation between race and religion a little later on in the show, but Marina Mahathir, I want to ask you, you were talking about, well, you wrote about the confident Muslim. Where does that stand in, we've had these two points of view. Where does the confident Muslim stand in between that?
Well, I don't think I stand in any way. I mean, the excuse given for not allowing non-Muslims to use the word Allah is because it will confuse Muslims, and I think that's a terribly demeaning way of describing ourselves. If we have faith in our own religion, then we ought to be able to stand up to anything, and a word is not going to shake it. And I don't understand why we put ourselves in such a vulnerable position by describing ourselves as weak and confused and of low intellect. I've had people say, it's okay for you because you're highly intelligent, but there are lots of low intelligence people out there. That's so, patronizing, condescending, demeaning and all that.
Yusri Muhammad, would you...
A confident Muslim need not be always correct. A person can be confident, fully confident, but he's wrong.
That's a good description of you, I suppose.
Well, let's not start calling names.